Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of One Album Wonders, where we take a look at those maybe big supergroups who only released one album and then fizzled, or those cool underground bands that showed a lot of promise, released one album and then disappeared off the face of the earth, or maybe just a band that was pretty decent, released an album, broke up, never to be heard from again, right? There's all sorts of these things, or maybe it was only ever supposed to be one album, right? A lot of these cool things, cool releases throughout the year. So we're going to take a look at 10 more of them here today. I got stacks and stacks more, so we're going to go take this as far as we can go, right? So let's start off here. How about go to 1971. An album produced by none other than Rick Derringer, right? Famous guitar player, right? Band's called Tin House. Very cool barn burner of a hard rock, heavy blues rock style music, cranking guitar riffs and solos, a lot of memorable songs, lots of attitude. Power trio rock at its best, man. If you love early Mountain, early Grand Funk Railroad, heavy stuff, just really, really cool album. Some heavy tracks, lots of great guitar playing, good vocals, a lot of attitude. Unfortunately, this is all we ever got from these guys. Quite the shame. All right, next up, from 1970, from New York, where I live, of course. The band is called Sabbatis. Album is called Warning in the Sky. Very cool, kind of creepy album cover, right? You get, the song titles are kind of, The Devil's in You, Every Day is Cool, Crystal Mirror, Warning in the Sky, Conversations with Billy, Bought and Sold, Green Glass, and all that jazz. These guys, really obscure, kind of like heavy rocks, a lot of psych going on in this music. They were greatly influenced by Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, Mountain, Grand Funk Railroad, and perhaps Iron Butterfly. A lot of kind of creepy organ going on in the music here. The riffs aren't too heavy. I think the one thing I never liked about this album is I felt the riffs could have had a little bit of fuzz or distortion added to them to make the music heavier. They're more kind of bluesy in nature, but lots of good blues rock solos. Like I said, a lot of that creepy, cheap organ sounds. The vocals are pretty good. Definitely has a kind of doomy early proto-metal feel to it. Just the album itself is not overly heavy, but really, really cool. A very cool rarity. Sabbatis, Warning in the Sky from 1970. Next up, how about a little Cozy Powell action? The band Bedlam. Okay, so this is a box set here. Let's take out the... oh, man, which is the... so it's got to be this one, I guess. I don't know what the exact album cover looked like at the time, but... this is a pretty cool band. It might be, no, this is the live album. Anyway, there's Cozy and Company. So Bedlam, kind of a band that he helped form between his stints in the Jeff Beck Group and Rainbow. So this is 1973. Good, solid, heavy blues rock. Okay, there's a couple live things. This particular box set's got like a live album as well as like a bunch of rarities. It's got the studio album and then also like another CD of just some kind of rarities and alternate takes and demos and things like that. But yeah, a good kind of unknown little time in Cozy Powell's career. The band Bedlam, good kind of Zeppelin-y heavy rock type stuff, little early Sabbath. Very, very cool stuff. I dig the Bedlam stuff. Next up, how about Supernatural Fairy Tales by the band Art? 1967. Really cool psychedelic rock and early prog. A lot of times we talk about, who was the first true prog act or prog album. You get, this is a very psychedelic album, but you can hear a lot of prog rock, early prog rock stuff going on in this particular album. Mostly a bunch of shorter tunes put together, but a lot of cool keyboards and guitars and vocals, a lot of cool effects used and what have you. These guys they would release this and then that was it, but most of the members of the band would actually go join up with Gary Wright to form a band that we all know and love called Spooky Tooth, right? But Supernatural Fairy Tales by Art, very, very cool album. One and done. All right, no list of this nature would be complete without, of course, Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs from 1970. Derek and the Dominoes, of course, this is the band put together after the kind of fall of Blind Faith. Amazing how Clapton went from one one and done supergroup to another. But yeah, Eric Clapton on guitar and vocals, Bobby Whitlock on keyboards, Carl Rattle on bass, Jim Gordon on drums. Of course, they came from Delaney and Bonnie and Friends, who Clapton was playing with quite a bit on and off, doing some stuff with. They supported Blind Faith as well. So you got Dwayne Allman also guesting on the album with a lot of lead guitar work. Dave Mason's on here as well. One of the all-time great albums, superbly produced by, of course, Tom Dowd, who worked with the Allman Brothers Band. This whole album was fueled by Clapton's love for his best friend George Harrison's, lady, Pattie Boyd. So Clapton fell in love with her, right? So because obviously that relationship wasn't going to happen, became very depressed, very jealous, kind of started his descent into heroin addiction, but along with a couple other guys in the band. I mean, this whole album is kind of also fueled by rampant drug use, and the band would then go and do some touring, and then that was that, right? But a classic album right here. All sorts of great songs. The title track, very, very noteworthy. But you got Why Does Love Have to Be So Sad? Of course, a lot of the lyrics about his love for Pattie Boyd. Bell Bottom Blues. Nobody Knows You When You're Down and Out. Key of the Highway. You got their version of Hendrix's Little Wing. Really, really great stuff. And I tell you, the pairing of Clapton and Allman, top notch, man. Top notch. All right. How about 1970? A lot of 1970s here. Cratermass. Self-titled. One and done album. The kick-ass heavy prog rock. Featuring Mick Underwood on drums, John Gustafson on bass. Of course, both of those guys did lots of cool stuff throughout the decade. And this guy called J. Peter Robinson on keyboards. Basically kind of like really heavy prog rock with no guitars. Kind of like, almost like Deep Purple meets Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Really, really good acrobatic stuff. Great keyboard work. Just really, really solid, heavy rocking album. They would do this album, and then that was that. But a later incarnation called Cratermass 2 with all sorts of different members appeared in the late 90s. I'm not going to count that. But this is a fantastic album, kind of a cool cover as well. Great, great album. All right, next up, how about a little Buckingham Knicks from 1973, self-titled. Yeah, I know many of you are saying, but Pete, to my knowledge, that has never come out on CD. Yeah, I kind of bought like a bootleggy thing here, so just had to have it. But really good. Released them on Anthem Polydor Records. The album was pretty much a flop, but got them enough attention to be noticed by Mick Fleetwood, John McVie, who were looking for some new blood in Fleetwood Mac, right, with the Bob Welch leaving the band. So they thought enough of this album to hire them, and the rest is history, right? Very good album. This album holds up really well. I think if you're a fan of Fleetwood Mac with these two in the band, the Rumors album, the Fleetwood Mac self-titled album, and all the other ones after it, very, very cool stuff here. Kind of like it's got that kind of breezy California vibe, it's folky, it's rocky, it's just got that, kind of all those vocal harmonies and things that these, Stevie and Lindsay were known for. And at the time they were a couple, obviously. But yeah, really, really good. Crying in the Night, it's great. Stephanie, got Crystal on here. They're the early version of Crystal. Don't Let Me Down Again, Long Distance Winter, Frozen Love. Good stuff. Really good stuff. Very good vocal harmonies, good melodies. Taste of guitar work from Lindsay, of course. Really solid. All right, next up, 1984, Through the Fire by hsas, otherwise known as Sammy Hagar, Neil Schon, Kenny Aronson, Michael Shreve. Nice little one-and-done supergroup. I loved this when it came out. I listened to this all the time. Really rocking. I tell you, the pairing of Sammy Hagar and Neil Schon is just absolutely magical. The voice and that guitar just really go together. But this was it, man. I mean, they did this, originally recorded live, and then they threw in some overdubs here and there. I think Whiter Shade of Pale, their cover of the Procol Harum classic, was actually done in the studio. But man, top of the rock, kick-ass heavy rock. You got Missing You, Animation, Valley of the Kings is awesome. Giza is great. It's got some, hot and dirty kicks ass, some absolutely face-melting guitar work from Neil Schon on this album. Just really, really great. I would have loved My Hometown is heavy as all hell. You got the ballad, He Will Understand. I honestly wanted much more of this, and this was it. And I've long been waiting all these years for Sammy and Neil to do something else together, and it just wasn't meant to be. What are you going to do? All right. Cathedral, Stained Glass Stories. No, I'm not talking about Cathedral, the Doom band. This is Cathedral, the U.S. prog band. This was released in 1978. Another one-and-done album. Wonderful prog rock album. This is one of the unsung gems of the early U.S. Progressive rock scene. Heavily influenced by Genesis and Yes. You got lots of analog keyboards, and especially you got Mellotron all over the place on here. Really nice vocal harmonies. You got those looping guitar lines, kind of Steve Howe-ish. Lots of Rickenbacker bass. Just an absolute gem of an album. Only got a couple songs on here. You got Introspect, Gone, The Crossing, Days and Changes, and The Search. But man, lovely, lovely stuff. One of my favorite U.S. prog albums of all time. Great stuff. And last but not least, how about 1999's The Fragile Art of Existence by Control Denied, all right? So this was this band put together by Chuck Schuldiner of the band, the death metal band Death. So Chuck was looking to go into more progressive and thrash areas. So he put together this band, which was, going to kind of veer off from the more progressive death metal styles of his other band, Death. So here he's got Steve DiGiorgio on bass. Of course, Steve, rock star bass player, also played with Death. Got Richard Christie on drums, was also in the latter period Death. You got vocalist Tim Abar, okay, does all clean vocals. And basically this is, and Shannon Hamm on guitar. This is basically kind of the direction that he wanted to take Death in. He wanted to get rid of the growls, bring in a different singer, and just go into more thrashy and progressive metal directions, much more melodic directions. Really good album. Really strong album, but, unfortunately, they decided they were going to do a follow-up to this, and had to be put on hold because he got sick. He had obviously brain cancer, and he passed away not long afterwards. So there are parts of the follow-up album that have been recorded that the band have long wanted to go in and finish, but obviously, I think the Chuck Schuldiner Foundation has kind of put a stop to that. But really great album, very well produced by Chuck and Jim Morris. Of course, Jim Morris, famous producer for a lot of Florida bands. Breaking the Consumed, Breaking the Broken. Cut Down is great. Believe, just really, really strong, thrashy, progressive metal album. Quite good. One and done, unfortunately. So there you have it. There's 10 more one album wonders, some pretty obscure, some a little more noteworthy. We're going to kind of cover all ends of the spectrum here. So make sure you visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. Much more stuff coming up this week. I'm on vacation this week, so I'm going to be pumping out videos left and right. So make sure, if you haven't, please sign up for the alerts so you get an email every time we post a video. Okay, you don't want to miss anything we're doing. Check back to the channel often to see what we're going to be putting out there this week. There's going to be a lot of content. All right, make sure if you like what you see, and make sure to hit that Ko-Fi button. Okay, so we got the button here on the channel as well as the link in the video description. So that's where you can go and donate to the channel. Help us out here. Buy me a tea or a coffee or a CD, whatever, so there's ways you can help out the channel monetarily. You can also click onto our merchandise page and buy yourself a t-shirt or a hoodie or a hat or a sticker or a coffee mug, right? And also there's a link to our website, www.seatranquility.org, where you can go read all sorts of great reviews, thousands and thousands and thousands of them, right? So stay tuned, guys. We got Simon Bray coming back on the show today as well. We're going to do a ranking the studio albums of the Outlaws, ranking the studio albums of REO Speedwagon, and then tonight, 8 o'clock, the Hudson Valley Square is getting back together today for 2 rants. We're going to bring 2 rants to you tonight, some really good ones. One is going to be some absolutely ridiculous and terrible band names, and the other is going to be about some skeletons in our closet. So some really guilty pleasures that we have in our collection. We're each going to offer up 3 of them, for stuff that we don't really tell too many people about that we have, but we kind of dig. So that's coming up tonight. Stay tuned. We'll see you all then. Bye-bye.